What is going on, everybody? John Impemba here with Andrew Cooper. Welcome out to the Quick Out Fantasy Football Show. Coop, Week 11, new intro to the show to kick us off here, my friend. How are we doing?
Fired up, dude. That's actually the first time I've seen it. I knew that our boy Brian Burns made that, but I hadn't checked it out yet, dude. That's sick. Let's go, dude.
We're becoming a little bit more of a professional entity here, Coop. You know, we got the nice intro. We already had the show, right? The show is great. The content is great. But sometimes you gotta lead in the folks. Get them excited for what's going to happen here.
I'm excited, dude. Let's go, dude. I want to play it again. Can we play it again?
Another 30-second rip. We'll do it again another time here, Coop.
All right, fine.
Let's talk about Week 11. All right. I appreciate all of you who are jumping in here today. Coming off of a pretty interesting Week 10. We had some big teams on a bye. They're back now. Fantasy football playoffs are right around the corner. We're a week away, I think, from the Thanksgiving game. Is that correct? We got Thursday Thanksgiving football next week. I mean, it's a fun time to be a football fan right now.
Not only Thursday, but this is the official first ever Amazon Prime Day, Black Friday special extravaganza day, right? Like the shopping football day. Honestly, I was, my wife is a big shopper. I was like, maybe we should have the wives go over to you and me, and then the girls will go over to the Rent Them outlets. And, they got a tavern in the square over there, Johnny. So, you know what? Let the girls do their thing. Watch a little football. What do you say?
You know what? Certainly down. Certainly down for that action for sure. So, we'll have to coordinate. We'll have the females chat with each other here and set that up for us. So we're not planners. So we just attend the meetings that are planned for us to do. So
that's right.
Let's talk about some of the highlights from this past week. Some of the top news stories. I think the biggest news story from today is obviously Deshaun Watson season-ending shoulder surgery. Now, he was able to play through the fractured whatever it was, shoulder blade, elbow, or shoulder cap, whatever it was called there. Able to play through and finish that game against Baltimore, but determined now that to prevent any further injury and damage structurally to the shoulder, they have to shut him down and have surgery. Things not going well for the start of Watson's career in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a quick short on that up over on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube. But I mean, and they say, they said that he wanted to play, that he wanted them to, juice him up with steroids so he could play. And they basically said, hey, you know what? If you do play, you're probably going to get hurt. This would happen. That's kind of what they're spinning it as. But I'll tell you this, for what we do for fantasy football, Deshaun Watson has got to go down as one of the worst picks of all time for a number of reasons. First off, he started the season slow. It's brutal. But the real killer was that period where every week he said he was going to play and then didn't. So you couldn't put him on an IR spot, couldn't do anything with him. Comes out, has a negative point game. And then at the very end, even I fell for it. I'm watching the highlights, him throwing deep balls downfield. They're looking good to Amari Cooper. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to add this guy back again. Once again, causing me to waste the roster spot in this guy. It's just like the empty bench spot would have been more valuable this year, honestly, than this guy.
I mean, wasted roster spots, always the biggest worry. But now, like Dorian Thompson-Robinson is supposedly the starting quarterback now this week. According to some reporting out there, how does that impact David Njoku, Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore? They don't have an easy matchup this week. Do you downgrade those receivers here now?
I think the big downgrades are going to be, like Cedric Tillman got 3 targets, didn't catch any of them. So, DTR, the thing is, he doesn't really push the ball down the field the way Watson was recently. So, Amari Cooper, these games where he comes out and has 4 catches for 100 or 5 catches for 120, that's probably not going to be the case anymore, man. Without somebody that can actually deliver the football the way that Watson was, even towards the end here. He was at least getting the ball downfield. So, I don't see a world where it's an upgrade for anybody except for maybe Njoku if he's going to be dumping the ball down more. So, it's tough. It's rough sledding, man.
If you're in a super flex league, do you now have to pick up DTR?
Yeah, you absolutely have to. That's the way it goes in super flex. Unless it's like an 8-man league, anything 10 or 12 teams, every quarterback's rostered. You can never have too many. You know what I mean? So if he's going to start for the rest of the season, which seems to be the case, if PJ Walker's healthy and they're tapping DTR as the guy, then got to add him. man. Like
It's kind of wild. We've seen a lot more quarterbacks this season than I can remember putting up like single-digit fantasy weeks.
crazy.
And yet you're right. Like the decision in Superflex to play a positional player over a quarterback feels like it's actually been more of a debate than we've seen in years past here. But some ugly performances that have been going on in the league at the quarterback play. A quarterback is returning this week. Justin Fields back for Chicago here after Bagent did his best in those few starts that we saw. We saw Bagent throw to Cole Kmet a ton.
Right.
Well, the starting quarterback, we did not see Cole Kmet have a lot of success with Fields as a quarterback. Do you think that those two can get on the same page here?
Yeah. So I think it's the flip side of what we just said with Watson, man, where Kmet was on the same page with Bagent. Fields likes to scramble around, push it downfield, doesn't like taking the low A dot options. I mean, you look at the teams that were the bottom three teams in passes to running back last year. It was the Bears, it was the Ravens, it was the Eagles. It's quarterbacks that like to scramble around. They don't want to dump it down. They'd rather just take it themselves. So in this situation, I'm worried about Kmet. The other thing about Kmet that you have to worry about is that he's blocked on 8 pass plays last week against the Raiders, also blocked on 8 pass plays. So at times they just, hey, you know what? We need help here in the trenches. You're going to stay in. The fact that could happen, or Fields could just be looking downfield for games, it's going to be hard to trust him in your fantasy playoffs to put together 3 straight games. So definitely worried about Kmet with this change.
Agreed. What are your thoughts on last week's return from Kyler Murray?
Awesome. I mean, he didn't light up the box score, but he was doing Kyler Murray stuff. I mean, anyone that watched that game knows that he looked like Kyler Murray with the little, the little toddler steps, like run around and no one can catch him. He literally won the game doing
I was going to say, that like 20-yard run where he probably ran 60 yards, the way he was scrambling around there, crazy.
That's all I needed to see. That's all I needed to see because that's what he does. I mean, obviously the running for the touchdown was cherry on top in the red zone, but that one play right there showed me that they did what they said they were going to do. They said, we're going to wait until this guy is 100%, and then when he comes back, he's going to play the way he's always played. They did it. It looks great. I think they did the right thing, too.
Yeah, I think James Conner looked fine. Trey McBride. Awesome, right? So we'll break down everybody's matchups here. We appreciate you guys in the chat. War Eagle popping in. Little Twitch gang here.
Dude. What's up?
Those of you who have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If you haven't already liked the stream, do so. It helps us out immensely there with those YouTube algos. He wants us to give him a pick 2 already for the start sit. Pacheco, Cook, Mixon, Connor.
So I'm starting, Pacheco has a tough matchup, and James Cook, when you watch those, I know we go back and look at the stats, and James Cook does play more than Latavius Murray, but when you watch those games, man, Latavius Murray is getting very important touches, especially in the red area. So I think I'm going to start Joe Mixon. The way I have it ranked so far for this week is I have Joe Mixon ahead of all of those guys, and then I have Pacheco next. But John, what do you think? Is there an argument to be made for James Conner this week?
I think so. A guy that's going to get all the snaps, important in the passing game. I think James Conner for sure. And then I probably still lean Mixon. It's not a great matchup for Mixon having to run up against the Ravens here, but kind of looking at the other matchups that are on the board and sort of the usage here, you do have Kansas City off of a bye, which is nice. The Chiefs here have that matchup that they're running up against the Eagles. Not the greatest spot, but they have been throwing to Pacheco a lot. So in PPR, there's still some value for him there. And then Cooks has the Jets, not really looking to run up against New York here. So, but you have Connor against Houston. I feel like Connor against Houston, I'm locking in. And then you're debating, does Pacheco score or be involved in the pass game enough? Because we're expecting a high-scoring game between the Eagles and Chiefs here. Both teams off a bye, on prime time, extended rest week as well because they're the late game. I might lean Pacheco and Connor here over Cook and Mixon personally.
I just pulled up my rankings, and I have Mixon as an RB1. So just because, you can run. The Ravens aren't necessarily they're a great defense, but Mixon's getting the whole shebang, and there's no Higgins. So I have Mixon ahead.
If Mixon doesn't score the touchdown, that's my problem. His fantasy value lately has been basically him getting those red zone plunges. Because he's not been an efficient runner. He's not racking up a lot of rushing yards. He is making up for a little bit in the passing game here. But that's my worry a bit on Mixon.
Yeah. And then I have James Conner 17, Pacheco 18. So I do have James Conner ahead. So for me, it's Mixon and Conner.
Yeah,
That's where
that's
I'm at.
fine. Again, definitely mix, definitely Connor rather, and then I think it's a coin flip for Pacheco, Mixon for me. Cook's behind them all, and then Devonta Smith, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, Noah Brown, Christian Kirk. Kind of funny, Noah Brown finds himself involved in that conversation. They're going up against Arizona here this week. Christian Kirk in a great spot against Tennessee. Another 100 yards last week for Christian Kirk. Devonta Smith again off that bye against the Chiefs. Puka Nacua coming back against Seattle. And Jamar Chase has that Ravens matchup.
Yeah, for me, it's because you have the luxury to do it this way. I would go Chase, obviously, Devonta Smith in what I think could be a shootout with the Chiefs, and then Christian Kirk. Puka Nacua is in the conversation, but again, we got to see what the thumb looks like for Stafford. You have the luxury to not have to do that. A lot of people are just going to have to start him, so I would go with those three guys.
Agreed. And then Rex in here. So Rex says, "What's our thought?" Oh, he actually does. Would you play the Steelers defense? I would play the Steelers defense this week against the Browns. I'm fine testing out DTR there. And then, what are our worst and best case scenarios for Chandler if Madison doesn't play? I mean, he looked good, scored a touchdown. Dobbs is kind of thrown some new life into that offense. I love seeing the Kevin O'Connell reaction to Dobbs' touchdown run where he just kind of like shrugged. He's like, I mean, Kirk Cousins was taking the sack there. He wasn't scrambling around and turning that into a 20-yard touchdown run. So, and maybe Justin Jefferson back for Minnesota this week. So could open up a little bit things for the running game there. So yeah, Chandler's fine. If you have him, you got to start him if Madison's out.
Right, exactly. I like him, but of course, you know what the worst case scenario is. The best case scenario is he's Alexander Madison, and Alexander Madison's had good games. The worst case scenario is what we've seen a couple times where
he's also Alexander Madison.
yeah, he's also almost exactly right though, John. Where it's like Devin Singletary the week before last, where it's like, and Rashad White a bunch of games here where like it doesn't matter if you get every single touch if the offense isn't getting things going and the defense is playing well, then it's a problem. The good news is that the Vikings quietly have a pretty good offensive line. So it's not like he's running into a situation like Devin Singletary did, a week ago against the Titans with a bad offensive line. So I think Chandler is pretty safe this week.
Yeah, I'm with you there 100%. Coop, before we get into our game breakdowns here, I want to give a shout out to our friends here over at Sleeper Fantasy. They have the Sleeper Pick'em now available. You can go and scan that QR code here on the screen or go to fantasyalarm.com/sleeper. Use promo code VAULT3 when you sign up. You'll get a deposit match up to $100 here. We have our sleeper picks of the week for Thursday night football matchup, the Bengals versus the Ravens here, Coop. We did pretty good last week with our plays here. Why don't we see if we can follow it up here with this week's Thursday night football plays? Where are you kicking us off?
Yeah, so I'm going to kick us off with the easy one. Just going to mention that they have a pick on sale, 99% off fire sale right now on Lamar Jackson. And the sale is 0.5 yards. So if you think Lamar Jackson plays at all, then you're going to want to pick more on that number over on the site. So Lamar Jackson 0.5 is the easy one. And then after that, you got to make some actual picks. For me, I'm going to go with Mark Andrews 12.9 fantasy points. So over on Sleeper, it's really cool. It's not all just props. They'll actually give you a fantasy points number, right? So I look at that and I say, nice, right? Because Howard Bender earlier this week, he had props because of Dalton Kincaid's good matchup where he did score, but he had the yardage prop and he was held under, right? So he had the receptions, he had the touchdown, but didn't hit the yardage. With this case, you've got Mark Andrews 12.9. And I think he goes more than that, whether it's via receptions or yards or touchdowns. The Bengals are technically the 31st defense versus tight end. I personally think they are the worst. They lost both safeties, Jesse Bates and Von Bell, this offseason. So Mark Andrews, 12.9 fantasy points. It almost seems too easy there. So give me more on that one.
Listen, we just saw Dalton Schultz again have a good week last week against Cincinnati, and tight ends have been tearing that team apart. So I'm with you there on the Andrews fantasy points. For me here, I'm going to go on the other side of that game. We're going to go to Joe Burrow. And right now, again, another discounted prop available over on Sleeper. Joe Burrow's yardage down from 258.5 to 218.5 passing yards here. And I'm going to go more I would go more on both totals, honestly, here. I think he can go over the 258.5 if that discount expires, but definitely like him at the 218.5 passing yards. He's gone for over 300 yards passing now in 3 straight weeks. Even, with T. Higgins out, we saw Irwin have a big game last week. Jamar Chase is capable of having a big game to utilize the running back here in the passing game. So I think this is a spot where we're going to see likely this the Ravens team maybe play from ahead for a little bit, given their defense and their offense against the Cincinnati defense, rather. And Burrow's just going to have to throw here. So give me the more 218.5 passing yards on the discount. But again, if that discount happens to go away before tomorrow night, then give me the more 258.5 as well. I like them both.
Yeah, I think what I'm doing is they only let you use one promotional pick per grouping. So I'm going to put one in with the Joe Burrow one with Mark Andrews, and then I'm going to do another one with the Lamar and Mark Andrews, and then take another Bengal on the side. Maybe do it Joe Burrow with the 25.8, the 258.5, because you can put in a couple. So I'm going to do one that's just Burrow and Mark Andrews, just a little 2 pick 'em. I think you can get, even with the discount, you can get 3x your money on that one. And then I'm going to come back around and do the Lamar, the full number for Burrow and Mark Andrews, and I think you can get like 5 or 6x on that. So
yeah, listen, if you put enough plays together over in Sleeper Fantasy, they give you the highest possible payout ever. You can get 100x your return over at Sleeper Picks right now. If you go and put, I think it's like a 10 pick play together or something like that, you have an opportunity to go 100x your play there. So go check it out again. Scan that QR code, use Vault3 promo code there, or go to fantasyalarm.com/sleeper. You're already playing your fantasy football leagues over at Sleeper now. Why not check out their picks? It's only available on the app, so you have to use your phone, scan that QR code, and then sign up there with promo code Vault3 to take advantage of our 100% $100 match deposit there. So go check that out. For Thursday Night Football, we have articles every day for Sleeper Fantasy, both NBA and NFL, for Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, and the Sunday slates. Britt Flynn's putting those together for you guys. Myself, James Grande, doing the NBA Sleeper articles for y'all. So check it out. Get in the Discord. We put the articles in there. Find them on fantasyalarm.com as well.
My policy on the DFS stuff and the pick'em stuff is that I use all the promos I can, and I put a ton of them in because I'm maybe not the best at it. But so my policy on doing pick'ems and DFS is the same as my policy on tying knots, John. If you ain't good at tying knots, tie lots.
I was just I didn't know where we were going with that one. That's a nice. That's a new saying for me. So Chad is bumping here, Coop. Do you want to answer some questions? Do you want to get into game breakdowns? What do you want?
Let's clear the deck first, and then we'll get into the game breakdowns.
All right, we got Bender in here saying, "What's up? What's up, dude?" Rex says Chandler's available in most of his leagues after waiver wire. Well, I'd pick him up. I mean, don't let a potential starting running back sit out on waivers. Go snag him and see where we're at this week. Kyle's got a couple in here. Said he also liked and subbed the channel. Kyle, you're the best. We appreciate you.
You're the man.
Full PPR pick 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, 1 tight. So running backs here, he's got Madison, Ford, Keaton Mitchell, Royce Freeman, Kenneth Gainwell. Pick 2 of those backs here today, Coop.
2 of the backs here. So Madison might not even play. So I'm going to go Ford regardless. And then I will start Madison if he does play. Because if it's a good concussion and he's cleared, then he's fully cleared and good to go. If he's not cleared, then I'm going to go Keaton Mitchell. I liked what I saw from him. They're using him in space. They're using him like they use J.K. Dobbins. So he gets the big runs. He had the 32-yard catch. And the other target he got, for anyone that wasn't watching the game or didn't see it, was a bomb to the end zone. On like a wheel route that he had the guy beat. Ball came down. The linebacker did a good job of kind of like face guarding him, which is not a penalty anymore. And the ball still hit him in the hands. He just didn't get it. Like this guy could have had a monster day. I think he's definitely the kind of guy that can break off big touchdowns. So I'd rather go with him over Freeman.
Yeah, you may not know the Madison thing ahead of time since Keaton Mitchell's the Thursday night football game. Madison obviously playing on the weekend. So you may be stuck playing Mitchell and Ford here because I don't want to play Gainwell. Royce Freeman still in that share with Hendo. Would you play Freeman over Ford or Mitchell if you had to make a decision here?
No, I think if we don't get word on the thing is if Madison doesn't practice on Thursday, if Madison isn't cleared on Thursday, then just start Keaton Mitchell. and then later on you can make the decision of Madison versus Ford. But
Right.
I might even go Madison over Ford because Madison.
Okay, so you're definitely plugging in Mitchell. Then you're waiting on the news and figuring out Madison or Ford. I like that.
Yeah. Unless Madison's fully cleared on Thursday, and then you just start Madison Ford.
Yeah. So you would play Ford over Mitchell.
Yes.
Okay, because we'd have to make that Mitchell decision there. For wide, we need one wide receiver of Boyd, Davis, or Cooks here.
I like the way Brandon Cooks has looked lately, but Boyd is
Carolina Panthers this week for the Dallas Cowboys.
I know, but Boyd has looked very safe, so it's kind of a ceiling versus.
Davis has the Jets, so I think it's a Boyd play here.
I think it might be, man. The thing with Boyd is he had 8 for like 117, and unfortunately dropped what could have been like the game-winning touchdown in the end zone. I mean, like he could have had a monster day. Instead, he just had a good day. But yeah, if Higgins is out, you go Boyd.
Agreed. Then he has McBride or Fergie. I think I go McBride here. The way that's going.
McBride versus Texans, hell yeah.
Yeah. And then he needs one flex of the players we haven't decided from here. So would you flex out Mitchell here? Maybe
no, you just start Brandon Cooks.
Start Cooks in your flex.
Yeah.
All right. So we got definitely for sure playing. Well, if we don't hear Madison by Thursday, you're playing Mitchell, right? And then we have to figure out Ford or Madison by Sunday. Then we go Boyd and we go McBride.
Yeah.
And then Cooks in your flex.
And this is why we try and do stuff. We'll all day tomorrow on Thursday. We'll have from 2 to 3. We'll be doing start sits with Howard Bender and I, and then John and I from 7 to 8, right before kickoff. After we know who's inactive and stuff for the game tomorrow night, we'll be doing start sits.
Yeah, we'll give you a little bit more clarity. So Kyle said though you already subscribed. Get the notifications going. We go live every day around this time, and we go live again on game day Thursday 7 to 8, and then again on Sunday. So we'll be able to help you out. Setting some lineups here. Aiden wants to know trade away Diggs for Eckler straight up. I mean, it depends on what you need or what your running back wide receiver situation looks like, but I don't mind doing that deal. It feels pretty trade to me.
It's that's like a trade that feels very fair. So if you like your lineup better after the trade, then do it.
Yep. Kennedy says got offered Lockett for Hollywood. Oh, these wide receiver for wide receiver trades, man, right?
Yeah, they're very strange trades. And the thing with Hollywood is, what's your record? Because Hollywood still has a bye week coming up. Yeah, so I think that
Seattle, no more buys for Seattle. So
if you're scrapping to get by and you need to win every matchup, I'd rather have Lockett just for the nature of he's going to play an extra game. But if it's like if Lockett's on your bench anyway, Hollywood has the higher upside because I like what Kyler's go. I like the way Kyler's trending here.
Agreed. Let's see. Would you trade? Freddie wants to know: would you trade Brees and Tyreek for ETN and AJ Brown? Probably. I mean, AJ Brown, Tyreek, not a drop off if anything, and then ETN's playing better than Brees Hall right now.
Yeah, why are they? What's the narrative? I'm focused on the playoffs. And I like the matchups more. That makes sense. Yeah, if you can. I mean, I think I just outright like it better. So if you can do it, then do it.
Yeah, I would take that deal for sure.
The matchups for Tyreek are pretty bad. We'll talk about that when we get to that.
The Jets' offensive line's terrible right now. Someone offered me Purdy for Mostert in a full PPR. Do you need a quarterback?
Right. Yeah, we need a little more context.
Need more context there. I mean, listen, Mostert could find himself in a big timeshare with A-Chain coming back here. Wilson's still there. We don't know what's going to happen in that situation. Sean, full PPR, one flex, Hendo, Addison, Warren, JSN, or Ty Chandler.
Just one.
Yep, pick one.
Man, it's Ty Chandler if Madison's out. Otherwise, I think I would start Addison.
Yeah, I mean, could have Justin Jefferson back this week, but Warren looked good again. Both running backs there and they're running against Cleveland, so maybe not the best spot.
Yeah, it's the matchup.
He's looked great there. So go Addison. The Joker have Fields and Young. Was that a part of it? Okay, that was the Purdy question. So he has Fields and Bryce Young. Running backs are A-Chain, Ford, and Madison. Wide receivers are Ridley, Myers, and Johnson. And he got offered Purdy for Mostert.
Now just keep Mostert, man. Keep Mostert. You never know. You never know with these guys. I mean, look at Pat Freiermuth. Look at Greg Dulcich. I mean, once you get that injury, you're just more susceptible in most cases to being injured again. I mean, I would just rather have both A-Chain and Mostert. And honestly, there could be times where you start them both because they were both awesome to start the year. I'd rather just start Justin Fields and just say
and just hope he figures it out.
Yeah, just hope he figures it out.
Do we do this one? No, need one wide receiver to flex. Thielen, Moore, Sutton, Flowers, Hendo, Kincaid.
Well, got to start Thielen.
Kincaid?
Yeah.
Yes, the Jets. You worried about that one?
No, the Jets. Well, the Jets defense is better than the numbers will say that they're terrible versus the tight end, but they're like middle of the pack because a lot of those touchdowns were guys like Luke Schoonmaker and Farrell Brown and Noah Gray, right? You know what I'm saying? So I think I would start Thielen and DJ Moore. Although Sutton's been awesome.
Sutton's been really good. Yeah, Denver's got a matchup here this week against the Vikings at home. So
you know what? I would go Thielen and Sutton.
Thielen and Sutton work for me.
Sutton made that catch Sutton made this past week was one of the best I've seen, maybe ever.
Nearly cost me a matchup against my wife in fantasy football this week. Could you're in that league with us?
Yeah, I know.
Almost. Thankfully, Javonte Williams is back, so don't have to worry about that loss there. Mile, hi Luke. Successful dynasty when trading Cooper and Pickens, only for Watson to go down. Superflex sucks losing a quarterback at Superflex. That's for sure. Brad wants to know, need to start 2, Ford versus Pitt, Cooper versus Pitt, Hollywood versus Houston, Boyd versus Cincinnati.
Brad McCoy, Twitch gang in the house, baby.
I have the 2 wide receivers, right? Hollywood and Boyd here?
Mm-hmm. Yep, easy. That's actually an easy one for me.
Should he be targeting Josh Jacobs through the schedule in 15, 17, and 18? Does your league go to week 18? Championship weeks for me is 17, so
it should. Yeah, if your league goes to 18, you don't want that. But
yeah, it isn't super ton of volume, so that's fine if you can get them. I don't mind. The state of the running back position is terrible, so if you can get a guy that's going to get 20 carries, take it
for sure. Let's get into some game previews, John. Let's get into some games.
Thursday football, Bengals, Ravens. Ravens given 3.5. It's an over-under of 46. We saw Trent Irwin come through as the mid-price DFS play last week and be super popular in showdown slates for Thursday. How are you handling the Bengals side of this matchup?
I think in showdown slate, I mean, I already said I'm starting Mixon, I'm starting Chase, I'm probably starting Burrow unless I have 2 quarterbacks that are kind of high end, and then in the showdown slates, Trent Irwin's an option, and also Tanner Hudson's come on a little bit and actually led this team in tight end routes and targets. Just know that like he's not running them all, so he's not really
3 catches on the first drive.
Right? Yeah, Irwin and Hudson aren't really redraft plays, but showdown slate plays for sure.
Sure. Baltimore side, we talked about the running back situation there. Now Mitchell, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. You got a lean?
Yeah, I do, and I think I definitely lean Keaton Mitchell because he gets the more explosive plays, and Gus Edwards is going to be the goal line back, and Justice Hill is going to be kind of the change of pace, the change of pace guy that comes in on third downs when Keaton Mitchell's tired, right? So I think that Keaton Mitchell is now in the J.K. Dobbins spot where, honestly, like I don't know if I would necessarily treat him all that different than J.K. Dobbins. Like with Dobbins, we knew that Gus Edwards is going to be a goal line threat. That Lamar Jackson was going to be a goal line threat. So that's kind of where I'm putting him, kind of a back end RB2 type range.
Sure. And we saw OBJ find the end zone last week. Rashad Bateman, though, starting to play a little bit more. Talk about the Ravens wide receiver split.
Yeah, better. I mean, honestly, people are chasing OBJ and touchdowns, but Rashad Bateman's the one that when they went to 11 personnel, he was out there. When they went down to 2 tight end sets or 2 running back sets with Patrick Ricard as the fullback, Bateman was the guy that stayed. So Bateman, in my opinion, is the better ad over Odell and a guy that I'm quietly stashing on some benches just to see what it looks like. This week could be a big one for him. If he doesn't break out this week, then he'll probably go right back to the wire, though.
Sure, agreed. Moving on down to the next game, Steelers Browns. Again, Browns giving 2 here, which I think is kind of interesting. Maybe some updates to come now the DTR labeled the starting quarterback, but a 34 over under in this one, maybe the lowest we've seen this year. How are we handling this from the Browns perspective?
The 34 is like the lowest I've seen since Kendall Hinton versus Taysom Hill. Like 34 is bad. So here's what I'm doing. I'm throwing Pat Freiermuth on the bench. You can't start him against the Browns because they're the number 1 tight end defense in the league, and it's not close, like by 100 yards, right? So Freiermuth, you can stash him, but you can't start him. And then, there's so much going on with this team with George Pickens deleting his social media. They didn't announce him with the starting lineup, and Jalen Warren now, being announced to start over Najee. I think Tomlin sending some messages to these guys that, hey, you need to get on board or you're going to get gone. And we've seen him make tough decisions to move away from guys like Emmanuel Sanders and Martavis Bryant and Antonio Brown even in the past. So and Le'Veon Bell, like he's definitely not afraid. If you're not in line, you're going to be gone. I mean, they cut LeGarrette Blount in the middle of the season. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's entirely possible that those guys are shooting their way out of town. Allen Robinson, it's like we'll see. On the Brown side, I don't know. I got to ask you, John. DTR, you're the QB guy. Can the Browns? They're 6-3 right now. Can they make the playoffs with Dorian Thompson Robinson as a quarterback?
I have to see him play. I mean, I saw him play once; it looked terrible. So gonna have to really see how that. And honestly, if he doesn't play well, I don't think he starts another game. I think they have to go back to Walker there.
Right, because Walker's fine. Walker's exactly fine, I would say. And why, like Walker is honestly, in my opinion, right now better than
go find Phillip Rivers or something, man. Like, what are we doing here? Let's go to the next game down here again. We got about a half an hour left in the show. If we have time at the end, guys, we will answer your questions. But of course, stay tuned. Lawn Fantasy Football is coming up right after us. Andrew Cooper, Howard Bender will be there to answer your questions here today. So don't leave the Fantasy Alarm channel today, even if we don't get to you, because we got another whole hour of fantasy football talk coming your way after us today. Cardinals, Texans given 5 to 47.5 over under again last week. The return of Kyler Murray, he looked pretty good. Trey McBride looked pretty good. Running backs looked fine here. Cardinals offense definitely getting a bump here.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this in the first part of the show, and I will say to the folks in the chat, if you get your comments in when we're talking about particular teams, like if you have a question about these players in this game or you have something to say, throw it in the chat. We'll throw it on the screen. We'll see if we can hit it. Makes our lives easier. But we want to go through for the, we got people that listen to this as a podcast that, might have skipped that first half of the show to get to this part. So we want to make sure that we talk about these actual games. So Kyler Murray, I honestly, personally, am ranking him top 10 rest of the season. I want to ask you, John, just do like a quick rapid fire rest of season for quarterback. Where are you ranking? Just give me a quick yes or no if you would have Kyler ahead.
Sure.
Patrick Mahomes.
No.
Jalen Hurts.
No.
Let me just pull up here. Josh Allen.
No.
Joe Burrow.
No.
Lamar Jackson.
Maybe, but I'll go no for now until I see more from Kyler.
Okay, that's 5. Tua.
No.
Justin Herbert.
Maybe.
CJ Stroud.
No, hard to at this point.
This is where it gets dicey. Dak Prescott.
Not current form, Dak.
Yeah, no. I know. He's chucking. So this is where – so I just named 9 points.
I don't think Lamar is – but 3 of the last 4 weeks under 15 fantasy points. Like, that's not good enough.
No, yeah, he's struggling. So, I mean, the thing is, you go through 9 and there's already some maybes in there. And now we're into, like, Jared Goff.
Yeah, I'd put him ahead of Goff.
Brock Purdy.
Probably ahead of Purdy.
Justin Fields.
Yes.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Sam Howell. I know. That one's crazy.
Howell throws too much for me to say he can't be a top 12 QB. So
that's what I'm saying. But the thing is, there's enough maybes in there that the conversation has to be had about whether this guy's a QB1, right? It's like
I think he is definitely in a low end QB1 because I think we're going to see some inconsistencies still from Herbert, from Lamar, from Goff, from guys like that. So he'll have. I'll say this: the rest of the season, he's probably a low end QB1. He'll have top 10 QB weeks to finish out the year individually.
Yeah. So we're talking Cardinals. Dan Schwartz wants to know: should I try to move McBride, who's my tight end 1, given Ertz and bye week? How much include with him? And also, do either of you want McBride in that league that we are in together? Who are my tight ends in that league?
I don't even remember who my tight end is. I might actually need a tight end in that league. I'll tell you in a second. Let's see here.
I have Sam Laporta. I have Sam Laporta and Dalton Kincaid. So
I got Logan Thomas. Dan, send me an offer. Maybe we'll work something out here.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah. So
I'm playing Sarah this week, so I don't know if you want to help me beat her or not. Maybe I can get a better deal out of it.
Right. I just put on my tight end update, and like Kincaid and McBride are guys you're definitely keeping. I have him at the top of the Yang column, which is the upside column, but I don't have him in standalone just yet for that exact reason. Not only is Ertz coming back, not only is Dawson Knox coming back, but they both have bye weeks. So you might as well roster 2 tight ends, right? It's like you're going to need one anyway. I think all these people are like, oh, I'll just worry about his bye week. It's like, when are you going to start worrying about it? It's like the week after next. So
I will say, we say all the time, like, oh, there's no way they bench this guy the way he has been performing when the starter comes back. But I mean, like, happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
All the time. So
that's why we call it the fallacy of rational coaching, because in our minds, there's no way it doesn't go this way. But then it turns out that this is a whole organization that operates all year round, and they have a lot of different thoughts that we're not having. So just be very careful with that.
Agreed. Other side of this matchup, I mean, dude, Stroud, man, continues to look really good. And then Singletary, you were on him. I was not. You were right. I was wrong. You're better looking. I am not so much.
Pump up the jam. Yo, who won our defense bet? I don't even remember what it was. The defense bet?
I don't think it was me. I don't know. I said I had the Chargers, I think, right? So they gave up like 35,000 points to the Lions. So
yeah, I don't remember what my defense was, though. I'm gonna go back and watch that. Chat, if you guys remember what that was.
Wasn't it Jacksonville? Didn't you like Jacksonville or something like that?
I think it was, yeah.
So we might have both lost that one. Well, it's fine. You know what? None of us are losing because we're getting pretzels and beer at Harpoon.
That's right, dude. That was the whole bet anyway. Yeah. So yeah, in the chat, bench 1 in a super flex: Herbert, Dobbs, or Kyler. John Dobbs has got the matchup on. Dobbs has the matchup on Sunday night.
Sunday Night Football in Denver, potentially getting JJ back. Chargers have where are they? The road matchup versus the Packers. Mm-hmm. It's a good spot for that. And what was the other QB?
Kyler versus the Texans.
Both on the road there, though. I mean, I got to figure out what's going on with Keenan Allen, right? He's a little banged up here.
Right. I think that would make a big difference. Kyler's got. I mean, that oddly that Cardinals Texans game is kind of looking like a juicy matchup.
47.5 game total. People are loving it, dude. Stroud's home numbers this year are ridiculous. So now he's got a home spot here. So I think I benched Dobbs in Denver. It doesn't feel great. Nope. Doesn't feel great.
I agree. Go with Kyler and Herbert.
Yeah. So. Singletary, yes, play him again. Great spot. Came back last week. Was great. Noah Brown. I mean, if people are out again, you have to keep playing Noah Brown because they keep.
I mean, 325 yards the last 2 weeks. So Nico Collins. The problem is when he gets back, what they do. So
every day it looks worse and worse for the Carolina Panthers for taking Bryce Young the way CJ Stroud is playing football.
I would now before we move to the next game, I will now offer I've been telling everybody, be very careful. This is a very important week for Dalton Schultz. And it's what's crazy is it's a game that he's not even in that we need to pay attention to. Pay attention to what happens with Evan Engram versus the Tennessee Titans. If the Titans just shut down Cade Otton, if they shut down Evan Engram this week, they so far this year have been the number 2 defense versus tight ends. The number 1 defense has been Cleveland. The schedule for Dalton Schultz in the playoffs goes Titans, Cleveland, Titans again. So if Evan Engram gets shut down this week, you got to Dalton Schultz folks need to make plans. We need to make backup plans for sure.
Yeah, agreed with you 100% on that one there. Moving down to the next game, we got Chargers-Packers. Chargers are given 3 on the road here against Green Bay. Quentin Johnson did find the end zone last week. It had looked pretty inconsistent. They got Jalen Guyton out there. Donald Parham potentially given Gerald Everett's status in this spot. Running game, Eckler's been fine, but certainly hasn't been the Eckler we've expected over the last few years. I think just the line issues the Chargers are having right now, kind of keeping that team put in place. Thoughts on the Chargers here on the road?
Yeah, I mean, in DFS, I still like the ideas of using Quentin Johnson. Would you use Quentin Johnson at 4,200, or would you go like Jalen Guyton 3,300?
I would go actually opposite of this matchup. Jaden Reed's 4K.
Ooh,
give me Reed in this matchup here over QJ.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with Reed is that even though he's kind of like playing a part-time snap share. When he goes in, he gets the ball every time, like Josh Downs. So I'm at this stage, I'm not really discounting him as much for being the odd man out in 2 wide sets.
It was like the Rashee Rice thing. He plays 15 snaps, gets 7 targets. It's like, play him more. What are we doing?
Exactly.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. But it's like, who do you take out? It's like you can't take Watson out. You can,
yeah.
I guess, you could take Romeo Doubs out, but he's been playing pretty good too. So this matchup has a lot of potential fantasy options. I mean, if Gerald Everett's out, a lot of people are going to want to start Donald Parham. I think that's a mistake, just because he does split snaps with Stone Smart. Stone Smart hasn't done a whole lot with him, but just the fact that they're splitting it instead of just letting the one guy get all the snaps, it just takes too much.
He did get a pretty good target share though when he was playing with Everett out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but dude, again, only played half the game. And here's the thing: this week he gets matched up with Devondre Campbell, and that's a guy that I try to avoid when I can. Like Donald Parham versus Devondre Campbell is not a good matchup for Parham.
Yeah, there's always just a touchdown equity potential with Parham too.
Exactly. Well,
the fact that Everett isn't going to be out there for the red zone makes it seem like an even better spot potential for Parham.
Bet at Parham anytime TD. If you want to play it, that's how to play it.
I sent you and Bender the video of the Lions offensive line just doing whatever they wanted with the Chargers defensive line there. I don't know if Green Bay's offensive line is nearly as impressive, but Aaron Jones getting the full workload here could have some pretty big holes to run through in this matchup against the Chargers.
Yeah, no, I'm in, man. Aaron Jones smash spot again, so lock him in.
Like it. Giants Commanders, again, pretty gross game here for the Giants. They scored. They kind of killed me because I had the Dallas Cowboys defense in my lineups, and they just let all the garbage time points come through at the end there for the Giants. So you absolutely can't play anybody in New York.
Just a complete blowout, dude. Yeah, you can't
even
play.
Even against the Commanders defense, which isn't any good, the Commanders are giving 10 in this game, and it's a 37 game total. This is almost the same thing we saw when we had the Browns versus the Cardinals a few weeks back, 36.5 with a 9.5 total, and the Cardinals never scored a touchdown. Like the Giants may not score even against a bad Commanders team here with that type of spread and that type of game total.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, like Darren Waller, you can only stash him if you have an IR spot. And if you have to put somebody else in that IR spot, you can just drop him. And like if it's just a bench spot, then don't hold him, because I think it's in their best interest to lose the rest of these games and get a good pick. They're 2-8. They're not going to make the playoffs. No reason to start Tyrod Taylor. So
everybody's saying the worst game in football ever is going to be next week when they play the Patriots.
Yeah, that's going to be real.
The loser gets the 2 seed.
So we got to find a way to lose that one.
Everybody's got to find a way to lose that game there. So
on the other side,
Brian Robinson continues to be an impressive play. Used in the pass game, scored another touchdown in the pass game last week.
Yep, you start Brian Robinson for sure here. And as we saw with the Cowboys, like these division games, there's no love lost. Like they're not just going to like lie down here. I think they're going to spend 3 quarters playing the best football they can play. So I think Sam Howell is still a good play. I mean, Dak threw for the game was never in question, and Dak threw for over 400 yards, and then they took him out for like the 4th. So there's no reason that, like, in a lot of our minds were like, oh, well, I'm worried about the game script or whatever. In these ones, just start the guys. You know what I mean? Like the points have to be scored first, and then you can bench the starters. That's what Howard Bender said to me last week. I didn't trust him on that, and Jake Ferguson scored a touchdown. So this week I'm in on the idea that the Commanders are just going to crush this team.
Yeah, that was one of the things when Bender and I did the DFS show. He was talking about like running out the score and running out the game with Tony Pollard. I was like, well, like that hasn't been the case in these blowouts. It's just been CeeDee Lamb the entire time, and that's once again pretty much what it was. Dak and CeeDee Lamb doing all the damage, and Pollard wasn't actually even out there. Dowdle ended up scoring the junkyard touchdown there, so it could even potentially look at some of these Commanders alt plays here. Curtis Samuel return had just 2 catches on 6 targets for 6 yards. Jahan Dotson got a goose egg, so hard to trust that game there. Titans, Jacksonville, Jags giving 6.5 at home, a 40 over under here. Will Levis, not the game we hoped for. Now, DeAndre Hopkins dropped a pretty easy touchdown pass in that game, so could have maybe been a better performance for him here. But after the great week 1, first week appearance for Levis, the shine has shined off a bit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like in single QB league, like obviously Superflex, you hold this guy, you probably got to start him, but he's probably droppable in single QB. John, you think?
Yeah, probably at this point. I mean, again, he's probably going to have another big week at some point, but we didn't see it last week, even with the yardage there. So I can't continue to trust him.
Yeah. Do you think this? So we've seen games where Derrick Henry kind of ends up on the back burner when the Titans are losing. This game, 6.5 point spread. Derrick Henry, what's your trust level on Henry? Is this a Spears game? Does Spears outscore Henry here?
Maybe, but I wouldn't play it that way.
Yeah.
I would never play Spears over Henry to game theory on that one because Henry also, like anybody else in the league, has the 99-yard touchdown in him, right? Like,
Though I do like Spears in DFS because the Jaguars, they've been good versus the run, but they're letting up a lot of receptions.
Yeah, the most receptions to running backs in football.
Over seven. Yeah. So give me Spears and some DFS.
I don't mind. What's the DraftKings price? We got DraftKings.
I gotta make a note to. I always
Spears
say this
on DraftKings is
46. Yeah, that's solid, dude.
Yeah, you know what? Not terrible. 11 catches the last 3 weeks for Tajay Spears. So
done deal. 46, dude. Yeah, that's the same price as Rico Dowdle.
Yeah. Oh, Panthers again. That could be another Rico Dowdle week. We talked about this last week. If Dallas goes up 30 on Carolina here, which Bryce Young versus the Cowboys defense, good luck.
Could be another Rico Dowdle week. What has happened to us, John? What has happened, man?
I have Rico Dowdle in a fantasy league, and I actually started him last week because of bye weeks, and I was playing some game theory. I might just start him again, honestly. I mean,
I started Ty Taylor against Grande. Scored a touchdown. Let's go, dude.
What else are we looking at? Jacksonville side of this thing. Zay Jones obviously got arrested, so take him out of the picture there. Thoughts on Kirk, Ridley, Ingram, and the rest of this offense against Tennessee? Was not a good week for them last week against the 49ers.
Yeah, I asked Ani Kupi asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I said for Christmas I want Evan Ingram to score a touchdown at some point. But she said, wish I could help, but that's way out of my price lane. I mean, why do people even ask what you want for Christmas if they're not going to even try?
Agreed.
But yeah, Evan Ingram, man, you know who he is right now, John?
Who's that?
He's Dallas Goedert. It's all screens, no end zone targets, man. There's 2 other pass catchers on the team. That's what he is, man. And it's, you know what? It's fine. It's like he gets enough targets to be in any sort of PPR. He has standalone value. If there's an injury to another one of the wide receivers, now he has difference-making upside. But I mean, it's a lot of. Last year, Dallas Goedert led the league in screens. This year, Evan Ingram leads the league in screens. The way she goes, dude, he'll probably finish somewhere in the back end tight end 1 range. That's why if we were going yin and yang tight end, my number 1 yin option was Evan Ingram. Number 1 yang option was Dalton Kincaid. If you drafted those 2 players and then you switched over to Kincaid when Knox got hurt, congratulations, you have tight end 4 on the season. So that's why we go that way, is that you got these boring options, but down the stretch, every team in the playoffs is good, and it's kind of rough to just start a guy that gets 4 or 5 for 40 or 50 every single week and never scores. He has yet to score, and they just don't. I don't know what it is. He's going to score a touchdown at some point, I imagine. Right? He's got it.
I was looking at my desk. I knew I had it somewhere. We have a shiny Evan Ingram card, but my camera's not going to show it to anybody here. There we go.
There we go, dude. Beautiful.
A little sparkly Evan Ingram.
Jags.
I'll throw that as a stocking stuff for free this year.
I'm going to get it hung up back there. Why not?
Let's go on down. Bears-Lions matchup in this one. Lions at home given 9. Jahmyr Gibbs versus David Montgomery. What do we do, Coop? What do we do?
Start them both, dude. Start them both, man. I got them both ranked back-end RB1s against the Bears. Why not? Get them both in there. It's 2017 Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. They're both.
We talked about this. I sent you the text and Bender. I was like, right now, Jahmyr Gibbs, if you just average out his per game numbers, on pace for 1,000 yards rushing and like 60 receptions, which is the ceiling that we kind of talked about. I didn't think he'd get 1,000 yards. I still don't think he'll actually get 1,000 yards rushing this year, but hard to argue the total yardage here, man.
Right. And Mark Ingram, 2017, Mark Ingram scored 12 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara scored 13. They were both RB1s. Last year, that's 25 total touchdowns. Last year, the Detroit Lions running backs scored 25 total rushing touchdowns. There's no reason that these 2 dudes can't come out and one scores 2 touchdowns a week, one scores 1 with this line, with Frank Ragnow, with Penei Sewell. Like, this team there's no problem. There's no problem I could see it easily happening. So I'm just going to start both guys every week and live my life. I watched a guy in the $10,000 draft this offseason that we commentated on. His RB1 that he drafted was Jahmyr Gibbs. His RB2 that he drafted was David Montgomery. And that dude put 10 grand on that idea. He's probably feeling pretty good right about now, assuming he's been able to win
Well, I
these
was going
games.
to say, unfortunately, they've both missed time this year, though.
Right.
So he hasn't been able to really always play them both.
If he survived,
Yeah, he did
well, the thing
survive.
is, every time one of them missed time, the other one was awesome. So
Correct.
like he's always had an RB1. Now he can just start them both. Like this guy's, he's playing 3D chess on us all.
Yep. All right, let's rapid fire through these. We got a couple minutes left in the show. Again, every Alarm Fantasy Football coming up next with Coop and Bender. So don't leave the channel. Stick with us. You can get your questions answered at the top of the hour from them as well. Anything else in Bears Lions?
Nah, that's it.
All right. Obviously, Fields is back in this one. The big story there. We'll see how he feels with that thumb, especially on the road against Detroit. I don't really love the return spot for him. Raiders, Dolphins off the bye, given 12 at home to Las Vegas, who's on a back-to-back win streak here with the new head coach. I think the Dolphins just blow this team out of water. I think the shine is off there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think you get that one like revenge game where everyone plays well when you fire the coach, and then after that, it's they
barely beat the Jets, and now they have to go into Miami, and Miami off a bye. Nah, probably not.
Right. So I think you still start Jacobs, you still start Devontae Adams where you have to. Beyond that, nah.
I still think Jacoby Myers is in play here. I think the game flow again has kind of hurt them. I mean, going up against the Jets is not a great spot. The first start with the new offensive coordinator, was okay. Scored on the end around. This is a game where they're going to have to throw. They're going to be down big in this game against Miami. So I do like Jacoby Myers still in this one.
Yeah, he was one of McDaniel's guys, so I worry.
Yeah, I mean, he's still out there on the field, though. The snaps aren't an issue.
Right.
We'll see if A-Chain returns, and if he does, how much he plays. We're certainly watching that one there for sure. Cowboys, Panthers, again, a CeeDee Lamb show. 10 NFL record, 3 straight games with 10 catches and like 150 yards. So
he's awesome. He said it himself. He goes, "I'm one of them ones." And he said, "You don't believe that I'm the best in the game. Just watch again this week." So he's already predicting he's going to go off. I love that. That's why I'm taking some overs on his lines there, because I think he put a chip on his own shoulder for no reason at all, and I love that. So let's go.
I'm still fading Pollard in DFS this week.
Yeah, me too.
You got to play him in seasonal, but I'm not playing him in DFS.
It's seasonal. You play him. Hopefully, this is a get right game for him, and builds the confidence because it's been pretty bad lately.
Agreed. Not playing anybody in Carolina. Not even a soul. Can't do it. They won't score. I don't think they're going to score a touchdown in this game.
Maybe Thielen.
0 touchdowns. 0 touchdowns. 4 p.m. games, again, a couple minutes left here. Buccaneers, 49ers. Baker played well. He got us the fantasy points we wanted. I don't know if that happens on the road in San Francisco this week, though.
Yeah, tough matchup last week for Cade Otton. Tough matchup again this week for Cade Otton. So he's going to hit a lot of waiver wires, but I think his usage has been good. It's just in bad matchups he disappears, in good matchups he shows up. So if you're really struggling at tight end, obviously you don't start him this week, but keep an eye on him in the wire moving down the stretch. He could be a guy that could help you out. Rachaad White,
40-yard touchdown catch. We talk about his pass game usage.
Right. So I'm still starting him where I have to, but again, matchup wise, not ideal. On the other side of the ball, we don't really, since we're short on time, we don't have to talk about the 49ers because we know who the main characters are, right?
We do. Seattle versus the Rams. Matt Stafford back here this week. Rams are a 1-point home dog at a 46 game total here. Charbonnet, another decent week fantasy-wise. Walker did find the end zone as well, though. Are both running backs becoming in play for you, or is it still Walker leading the way?
It's still Walker leading the way, and if the Seahawks are big-time dogs, then maybe you can start Sharps knowing that it's going to be that kind of game script. Same with JSN. In the game where they were playing from behind, both those guys played a ton, but in games where they're expected to win or it's close, I'm still going to go with Walker.
Yeah, agreed there. And then Kyron Williams back next week, so one more week for Henderson or Freeman to establish some value for the Rams. Jets, Bills fired their offensive coordinator. They lost to the Jets earlier this year. They released Michael Carter. How are we handling Jets Bills here? That offense in New York still looks trash.
Trash. The Jets offense is a real problem here. Is that the defense has been so good? I could see betting the under on this game, to be honest. And I got to ask you, John, going up against this, coming off the game he just had, going up against a defense as tough as the Jets, is Josh Allen still a top 5 QB play this week?
I don't think I would. You have to play him, but I wouldn't have hopes that he'd perform that well. Diggs, his brother's spouting off that he's got to get out of Buffalo. Right. Kincaid looks good, but you've mentioned that the Jets, numbers against the tight ends maybe skewed a little bit to some big plays to no-name tight ends here. So, Yeah, I'm probably worried about the Bills' offense this week, and you never like the Jets' offense anyway.
Right.
So
The reality is though, like if you have Josh Allen in a single QB league,
no,
you're
you're
not even
playing it. Yeah, you're not benching Josh Allen.
you're not even rostering anybody else, and there's nobody on waivers you're going to add that's better. So you should
Agreed.
start.
Vikings Broncos here. Broncos at home giving 2.5. The big story here for me is Javonte Williams back-to-back games with 20+ carries.
I told you, dog. I told you he's.
I drafted him everywhere. I've been waiting for this. So
I know, which is funny because you were in and I was out, and then for a little bit there you were worried and I was in, but now we're both in and everything's happy, dude. We just all walk off in the sunset with Javonte Williams. So Javonte Williams we're excited for. I'm excited to see Justin Jefferson. I hope he plays. I hope he's a full go, and I hope he stays healthy. And then T.J. Hockenson, man, like moving forward. I'm not trusting any reports that this guy's hurt or banged up or whatever. If he's playing, I'm starting him because he was like a professional wrestler out there. Just every time he got hit, he was crawling around on the ground, blood coming out of his eye, and he just gets up and goes to the huddle and catches another 30-yard ball. So like Hockenson is so locked in for me, leading the league in receptions. Like just lock him in.
Yep, agreed with you. And then we have a really great Monday Night Football game, Eagles Chiefs. Gonna have a lot of fun. Sit back and enjoy it. Right, play everybody, have fun, watch it.
Easy enough. Play everyone. Yep. Football.
Play everybody.
Play everybody except Jack Stoll. People are getting too cute with the Jack Stoll business. Don't do that.
What about Albert
Aquabutum? Yeah, Albert. I mean, I could see him getting the tight end screen at some point, but again, like maybe in a showdown slate, but every idiot's gonna be doing that.
Agreed. Guys, I put the link to the Alarm Fantasy Football Show in the chat. Make sure you check that out. Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper coming up next. Coop and I will be back Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, breaking down Thursday night football matchup, getting you guys ready for week 11, answering your start sit questions and all the good stuff there. So catch us there, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and we will catch you guys later.